And welcome back to episode 425. We're back again with Matt, myself, and Lyle, Mr. Spector's hockey.
Yes, indeed.
And as promised, we're going to talk Habs. And I want to start it with something that I saw that has absolutely no basis in reality, but it feels like it could happen. And that's Donato from Chicago being something that Montreal would want to add.
Mm,
Canadians said they're
interesting.
buyers,
Interesting. If they're gonna, if Ken Hughes, listen, it would not surprise me at all. I mean, I could see if the Canadians are still battling for a wild card berth. I don't now. Ken Hughes is not going to sell the farm. He's not going to
no,
turn around and oh yeah, we'll trade Jacob Fowler to bring in this rental guy. Like,
no.
no, that's not happening. No, he's not trading his first round pick either.
But maybe
But
one of their 20,000 third round picks.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm, maybe, or and maybe a younger player who's
No
like,
longer fits.
we see a Barron situation or a Jordan Harris situation who's
Yep.
just kind of being squeezed out, not getting the opportunity to play very much, but could benefit going to Chicago for Ryan Donato. I mean, yeah, it's not like we haven't seen that sort of deal in the recent past.
Because he's a left-handed center, and the
Mm,
Canadians are kind of short on those. And I
mm,
have a feeling that Dvorak's not going to be sticking around much longer. So, you know,
mm.
you it's someone who can play a two-way game.
Yep.
He's not any better than Dvorak, but he's definitely not worse.
And he's in a contract year and
Yep.
and he's on his horse this year. There's no question. He's one of the few bright spots in an otherwise miserable season for the Blackhawks. So, yeah, if
Yep.
yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he was a player that Kent Hughes is keeping an eye on.
Especially with the added offense he could bring
Hmm.
versus Dvorak.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. That's crucial. I mean, one of the reasons, and we'll be going over them. As I told you before the show began, I have made a list of several things I wish to discuss regarding the Habs. But yeah, but to your point, one of the reasons why the Canadians are in the position they're in now, where they've risen from the ashes of 2 months ago to being jockeying for a wild card berth, is they're getting more scoring throughout the lineup. You know,
Yes.
it's from guys like Jake Evans having a career year. Yes, it is. But, it also helps when you got like even Yoel Armia is kind of playing like Armia from 4 years ago, when he was cashing in with timely goals when they needed them. And that's part of the reason why the Canadians are improving this year. They're getting more scoring depth. And so if you bring a guy like Donato into the picture, who is more of a scorer than Dvorak, well, yeah, that could be a guy that if you're, gonna go for it down the stretch, he could be the guy that scores some timely goals that could make the difference between contender and pretender. So yeah. Again, it won't be something where, yeah, he ends up, blowing assets, I mean, to land a guy like him. But yeah, that's the thing. As we've seen from Hughes, he doesn't make a move unless somebody's going to willing to pay his price.
Yes, exactly.
Hmm.
And I think that's actually been refreshing. Someone who's
Oh
willing
God,
to
yes.
set the price and stick to it. Now,
Yeah.
I'm all for uh, being willing to overpay in a deal to get that one piece that you absolutely have to complete your team.
Yeah.
But obviously, he's not at that point yet.
No, the missing piece of the championship puzzle, yes,
Yeah,
that's when you overpay.
yeah,
When you've got a chance to, and I'm going to refer to a classic analogy, but if you got a chance to bring in your Butch Goring, you
yes.
overpay to bring in your Butch Goring to complete your team. Yeah.
Mr. First guy with the beard during the playoffs.
Yeah. And with him with the saddest hockey helmet you will ever see.
I swear it was taped together.
I still say it's a crime that he's not in the Hockey Hall of Fame.
It's true.
He
It's true.
absolutely has been an overlooked player. But anyway, that's an Islanders thing. We'll talk about that some other time, maybe. Habs, baby.
Yeah. All right, Matt, what do you have anything?
I'll throw a quick one out there since you brought up a player. What about Yanni Gord?
Ooh.
Hmm. Yep, another one. That's another one too. I think would be a solid addition for the Canadians.
Because
Might
he's in a down year.
Yes, he is, and Hughes could use that to his advantage. But the problem though is that even though he's in a down year,
He's got the
he
pedigree.
he has that
Yep.
championship pedigree from his time in Tampa Bay, and there are going to be several teams interested in Yanni Gourde. Several. I mean, right now Ron Francis is not in sell mode, not yet, but barring a significant turnaround, he will be. And Gord is a guy that the skinny is they getting a lot of calls about him.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that if you could get him for a decent price as a rental, he'd be another one. A versatile player, two-way forward, center, wins face-off, kills penalties. Yeah, he's a toolkit guy. So if you
Right. Yeah.
can add him, yeah, he'd be another solid addition. Again, provided you're not gonna, overpay to land him.
I think it's the pedigree that Matt
Yep.
pointed to because with Montreal, they only have the one player in David
Yes.
Savard who has a cup ring,
Yep.
while there are a few players on the team that have made the cup finals.
Hmm.
So having another person who has a cup ring, I think that could really help the room. Like you look at teams like Buffalo, like I mentioned earlier,
Yeah.
they're missing that. And the Canadians
Yeah.
seem to, from everything that's come out recently, they know that. That's why
Yes.
they're holding on to these guys. So why not add one more? Like a Donato, great. If you can get a Yanni Gourde, great.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right.
Guys like that. Yeah, you don't
Yep.
don't don't go chasing the expensive, guys like no, don't do that.
Don't go chasing waterfalls. Stick to the
Yeah,
rivers and streams that you're used to.
exactly. I know you're going to have it your way or nothing at all, but I think you're moving too fast.
Let's keep our left eye on that.
So
Ah,
going to Canadian stuff for me, for Canadians question.
yes,
Um,
indeed.
we've seen how well a guy like Carrier has worked out for the Canadians.
Hmm.
He's brought a lot of stability to the back end, and I think he's really brought the best out of Caden Gooley. And even a healthy Patrick Laine, what he's done with the lineup and especially the power play. Could we see more of a hockey deal made by Ken Hughes instead of maybe a traditional, we're going to get rid of an Armia or a Dvorak for a draft pick because they've already have 12 going into next year, just next year, including two first, two seconds, three thirds, etc.
You could. The question is though, who becomes that player? Is
Right,
it is it is it oh gosh, I'm old. Jaden Struble. Is it him?
right,
Do you move him? There'll be some Habs fans who'll be just like, no, don't move him.
right,
Do you move Arbor Jacki? Is he the guy that you move? Yeah, you want to talk about a move that would have Habs fans up in arms. Yeah, it's shopping the sheriff here, you know. But that's the thing. You could, but that's kind of the pieces that you'd be looking at having to move here
right,
in order to do that, right? Um, is it Jake Evans? Now, Jake Evans would be, again, but that would be like a hockey trade though, because
right.
Evans is, even though he's UFA eligible,
Well,
he's
right now
having,
he's their own rental right now.
yeah. So exactly. So I mean, you'd have to be very careful in doing that. I wouldn't rule it out, Matt, but again, you know, you already moved out Harris to get line A. You already moved out Barron to bring in Carrier. So who's left?
Right.
That well starts to
Yeah.
get
Well, it depends how high of this trade you're going to go. Are
exactly,
you willing to go into your next tier of prospects to make a move now? Or
exactly,
with the abundance of draft picks that they have, are you willing to dip into that maybe for more and then not dip into the higher prospect pool?
exactly. But it's going to depend, obviously, on who he's looking for, and
Right.
obviously, as we've seen, if he's going for a hockey trade, it's going to be somebody with term on their contract, of
Yes.
Yeah.
course.
Yes.
So yeah, you're not going to waste. He's not going to waste those valuable assets on a rental. No
No.
way.
At this point, there's no really.
There's no reason to.
I
Yeah.
think Ken Hughes owes it to the team to
Yes.
either status quo, keep
Mm,
your own rentals, see what this team's got. They've obviously played a hell of a lot better since they've all come together. They're all healthy, knock on wood,
yes.
etc. However, bringing up a player like a Donato, like a possibly like a Yanni Gourde,
Yeah.
possibly one of
Hmm.
those type players that can kind of be that extra piece. That's more what I can see happening as opposed to giving up the future for a short-term solution.
Yeah, it's not a Mikko Rantanen kind of move. It's not
Right.
a
No,
world-shattering move, but it's something that would solidify the roster and provide a little bit of extra
Because
veteran
they've got
presence before the playoffs.
because with the cap going up, they've got
Yep.
money to spend. They're gonna have
Yep.
yeah,
money to spend. They got a
yeah,
bunch of guys coming off the books. Some guys may come back. And they've got a hell of a lot of draft picks.
yeah,
And, like we've had Craig Button on here before, and I know that he says this all the time. Draft picks are a luxury to have. They're great to have, but
They're not players.
not all those
no,
players are going to play for your team. So
no,
you can have an abundance of top five picks.
yeah,
It doesn't mean that all those players are either going to one, pan out, and two, they're going to end up playing for your organization.
yeah,
And I think
exactly.
they're at the stage right now where it's where where are we and who in our prospect pool is the next guy that's going to be the next man up?
Yeah. Yep. But hey, in Hughes we trust. I mean, he
Yep.
has not, again, I say this over and over, he has not put a false foot forward in
No, I'd
any
say so.
moves he's made. I mean, yeah, some people kind of roasted him a bit with the Petrie deal there a couple of years ago, but it
Looks
was
pretty good
done.
now.
Yeah, it was done
Yeah.
out of necessity. He always has something else in mind,
Yeah. I
you
think
know.
that made the organization look good
Yeah. Oh yeah.
because
Yes.
Absolutely.
it didn't only help out Petrie, it helped out Casey DeSmith as well.
Yep.
And I think that other people are going to look at the organization or even how Patrick Laine has been treated and how he's been
Yep.
brought in. And
Yep.
I think it's going to become a little bit more of a destination
Hmm.
city as opposed to, yeah, I'll play for the Canadians.
That's what they're trying to build. That has
Yeah.
been this whole mission statement from day one when they brought in Gorton and they brought in Hughes and they brought in Marty St. Louis. This has been the mission statement all along. We want to build this team up, but we also need to be a destination team, a
Right.
team that players want to go to. Remember, a few years ago, the word was nobody wants to go. Oh God, nobody wants to go to Edmonton. Oh
No.
geez, no. Oh yeah, yeah. They got McDavid, but oh geez, no. The winters are
Yeah.
so bad there, and oh, there's nothing around. Yeah, players are falling over themselves to get to Edmonton.
Right.
Come on, right? We saw it last year. It was bloody obvious. I mean, if they had had more money, they would have gone after even bigger fish last
Right.
year. So yeah, you know, if it works for Edmonton, it can work for Montreal. Just win, baby. That makes you a destination city.
Right.
Yep.
And that's it. Once upon a time, Montreal used to be that. It can be that again as long as they stay the course with what they're doing.
Because Matt, I think you're right when you're looking at uh, the way everyone's been treated.
Yeah.
That's a major plus. Then you have the team is on the rise. They're the next team that people are looking at saying there's something there. Then you also have some really good young players, like to your point, Lyle, about McDavid. Everyone wanting to go there. You look at Montreal. You got Suzuki, you got Caulfield, and now Lane Hudson. That
Mm.
kid is going to
Oh
draw
boy.
somebody in, especially
Yep.
someone who's an offensive player, because
Yep.
they know they have someone from the back end that will definitely be able to feed them.
Yeah. Wait
Yep.
till Demidov shows up.
Oh dear
Oh,
God.
oh my Lord. Oh. I
Ooh,
got to stop watching KHL highlights because when I do, I
yeah,
go down a rabbit hole for half an hour. And then after that, I spend another half hour just laying down daydreaming about how good he's going to look
right. But and with
at
him likely coming over next season,
him.
and with all the money the Canadians have, I think it's close to 18 million, possibly more, depending on how high the cap goes up.
Yeah.
Why not go and get yourself a Russian to help ease him in on the roster as well?
Hmm.
Got to have a
That's a
countryman
poss
there.
that's a possibility too, as well. There's a lot of different. I mean, first of all, you got to make sure you're gonna get him for next year.
Yeah,
Demidov, I'm referring to, but yeah, if you do, yeah, that would absolutely would help.
clearly I'm talking about Ovechkin.
Of course you are. Oh yeah, he'll be all over that for
Oh yeah,
sure. Yeah. No, I got Gretzky's record, and yeah, we're playing well, blah blah blah, and I had lots of fun in Washington. But no, I want to reach 1,000 goals with Montreal.
in one
Dream
year.
big, kids. Anyway, yeah.
So
But yeah, but I gotta say though, if I may, there's several factors here though for me as to why the Canadians have improved, and we've talked about three of them already. We talked about Carrier
yep,
coming in on, again, an excellent move by Hughes because having Carrier there, that moved Caden Gooley back to his natural side on the left side, and now he's playing just terrific. He's comfortable and confident where he is, and you've got the right side stabilized, and that enables David Savard to play third pairing, which is where he belongs now at this
yeah,
stage of his career. I love what he brings to the team, and I'm happy to see him alongside Jack Eye.
yes,
Jack Eye's benefiting from that big time. Um, we spoke about Line, and my God, what a steal that was, too. I mean, when I first saw that trade, I mean, it was just like, oh, okay, yeah, all right, we gave up Harrison a second round pick. Wait, no, we're getting a second rounder with Line. That's
yeah,
us. Yeah, it's like, wow, did they ever want to get rid of him? But, you know, seeing how well he's played and fit in there, it's like, oh, if only he hadn't gotten injured in preseason,
yeah,
which
Yeah.
is another bone of contention for me regarding preseason, the length of it, but let's go something another time. But if they'd had him at the start of the season playing like he has been, there's about half a dozen games that I can look at during that stretch he was out that if he had been there, a timely goal by him, especially on the power play, could have made the difference
yeah.
between a win and a loss. And Montreal would not be, oh, we're 2 points out and battling in. They would be 4 points in and chasing third place in the
Right.
Atlantic with the Bruins. That's the difference. But regardless, he's there now. And yeah, okay, I know most of his goals came on the power play. Who cares?
Yeah.
I don't
Goal's a
give I
goal.
don't give a damn if he scores 30 goals from now until April and every one of them's on the power play. I don't care.
That's 30 goals.
If they get them into the playoffs,
Yeah,
I don't care. Okay? He's been a welcome addition to them, especially on the power play. That one-timer, he's reminding everybody why he went as high as he did in the 2016 draft. I mean, that one-timer, it's just like Ovechkin from the top of that circle is lethal. So significant addition there. Um, and of course, Hudson,
yep,
Lane Hudson, everything that we hoped that he would be. He is my pick for Rookie of the Year right now.
well,
And
yeah,
I'm not
Yeah.
saying that because he's a Hab. He could play for the Leafs. He could play for the Bruins. And I'd be
well,
saying no.
we'd be
I'm
sad
straight.
saying it though.
I would be sad saying that. Yeah. But honestly, he could play for the enemies of my enemy down the line. I wouldn't care. I would still say that this guy is my pick for Rookie of the Year thus far. Now, he's coming up to a crucial time because he has not played this much hockey in one season in his life.
Yeah,
Okay, and especially at this level, he's done very well, logging like big minutes. I worry that he might hit a wall, which is why I'm actually that's the only reason why I'm happy about the Four Nations tournament coming in when it is, right? Because it gives this kid a chance to rest for a couple of weeks. It gives the whole damn team a
Right.
chance to rest. Just as an aside, they've played a frig of a lot of hockey in the last 6 weeks. They went through their annual road trip to hell over the holidays, which they do.
And
yeah,
they did
And
very well.
and the fact that, yeah, Matt, I was going to say the fact they came out of that with one of the best records in the league over that stretch is impressive.
Yeah.
That is impressive, especially when you consider what kicked it off was losing 9-2 to Pittsburgh 6, 7 weeks ago. Since then, the last lopsided, it wasn't until that loss against Toronto last week, which, yeah, on the scoreboard it was lopsided, but it was a case of the Habs were better in the first half of the game, and then it just got away from them in the third. But regardless, the fact that they played so well through that, they're a tired team though, and you could see it this week. You
Yep.
really could see it this week. I mean, yeah, they beat the Rangers, but barely, really, they barely beat them. Losing to Detroit didn't surprise me.
no,
Didn't surprise. They really looked tired in that game. They really did. Picked it up last night. Yeah, they gave up the first couple of goals, but they didn't, again, they didn't fold the tent, which is another one of the reasons. The fact this team never quits when they're down has been the one thing I have held on to over the last 3 years since this rebuild began, is that they don't quit. They never quit. Okay, we're down 4-1. It's 9 minutes left in the game. The hell with it. We're going for it. And they make the other team now scramble to hang on. I always like that, you know, but they need to get some rest. That's the thing. They haven't been able to get enough practice time in. That shows, and they're not the only team suffering from this. I'm not saying, oh, poor Habs, they're being singled out and everybody else has all this time. No, but they haven't had time to properly practice on some of the weak areas they need to improve. I mean, that's why they sent Struble down to Laval to get some playing time because he hasn't been able to get in any games, and they haven't had any practice time. So having that 2 weeks off will help the Habs, but it will really help. I think it'll really help Hudson, give him a chance to recharge so he can be fresh and they for the big push down the stretch. And if that works out the way that I hope it will, then yeah, this kid, he's definitely going to be a finalist for the Calder. But I think if he can maintain the pace that he's going at now for the rest of the season, it will be. I don't see how anybody can beat him in that. I mean, no offense to Macklin Celebrini, he's the other guy, and I wouldn't mind if he lost to Celebrini because Celebrini let miss the first month, almost the first month of the season, came back and has played very well for the Sharks, but he hasn't been as important. All due respect to Celebrini, he hasn't been as important to the Sharks as Hudson is to the Canadiens.
Right. I'll throw another one out there, Dustin Wolf.
Yes.
He's doing
Oh,
incredibly well.
he is definitely, as the season's going on, he is definitely making a case for himself.
He really
Definitely.
needs to
But I
drop
but
off though, so the Canadians get a better pick.
Yeah,
yes,
exactly.
right. But I do agree. But I do
Yep.
agree that
Yep.
with what he's brought to the team and what the expectations were for this team,
Yep.
he's above and beyond. And I believe that he should be the favorite to win it.
hmm And yet another small player who dropped right into the Canadiens' lap,
Yeah.
like Cole Caulfield 6 years ago, right into their lap. And the other addition, I can't overlook this kid, and that's Dobish.
Oh
Yes.
yeah.
Finally, Sammy Montembeau, Monty finally has a reliable backup so they can spell him off and give him rest too. You know, Caden Primo, they tried. They tried with him last season. It looked like he was starting to emerge, looked like this was going to be the time, and it just didn't work.
Yeah.
It just didn't work. And Dobesh comes up, and I mean, come on, 5-0-1 in his first 6 games, and he's looked very sharp. But even he wasn't resting on his laurels last night. Like he said, I let in a couple of bad goals, my fault, but the guys fought back, and his teammates are all like, no, 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 no. Look, you kept us in
Yeah.
here, man. Like, geez, you gave us the chance to win.
Yeah. Look at that game against the Rangers
Uh, Prime
in
example,
overtime, right? So
twice,
he's the reason they
twice.
won that game.
Yeah.
Yeah, two huge saves in overtime. So yeah. But Dobish is just, yeah, he has provided that to it. So you've got stable goaltending now. You've got improved D. You've got more production in your forward lines. And how about Kirby Doc?
Yeah.
Okay,
Nice to see
Coming
I
him
back,
back.
yeah.
when everybody the first half of the season, there were a lot of people who were dumping on this guy, and I had to keep telling people, look, he's coming back from a serious knee injury. Yeah, he missed an entire season. He had to work his ass off all summer, but that's not the same, excuse me, as getting into game shape. And I knew it was probably going to take him 20 or 30 games.
Yeah.
You know, you look at players who've had comparable injuries, same thing. It usually takes them 20 or 30 games before they finally get their rhythm
Right.
back. They
I just
finally
felt he
feel
was very
comfortable.
timid. He was very
Yeah,
timid. He wasn't using his size, and he's not really
yeah,
known for bowling guys over and everything, but he can when he needs to.
yep,
I just felt he was really timid, and he was like, don't want to re-aggravate something, don't want to hurt
Yeah.
myself. And
he
now
was,
I think he's just getting that much more comfortable, and his body's feeling that much better. And
yeah,
obviously, production's coming with that.
yep,
So now you're seeing a little bit more of the edgy side, and you're seeing some of these beautiful goals he scored, and it's taken some of the burden off of Nick Suzuki as well.
Yes, which is what we were expecting of what he would be, before he got injured. And I don't blame for playing for playing timid. You
Oh, of
suffer an
course.
injury that serious. I mean,
Yep.
yeah,
You miss an entire year.
you're gonna be a little gun shy. I
Yeah.
mean, I mean, listen, I mean, using myself as an example, and I'm not an NHL player, but I mean, I broke and dislocated my left ankle and broke my tibia and my fibia in my playing a military hockey tournament 25 years ago.
Right.
Okay. And it took me like I was laid up for 2 months, pins in the leg, the whole 9 yards. I had to do physio. They gave me 6 months to do physio. I did it in four because I was like, screw this. I'm not going to do this for 6 months. I'll grit it out to go. But regardless, and practiced skating and all of that and went back and played hockey the next year. And it was almost kind of the same sort of thing. Like mentally, you're out there, but you're a little like, oh, oh, be careful going into the corner because I got hit from behind going in the corner, right? So it's
Yeah.
just like, oh, head on a swivel, and all of this. But yeah, so it took some time until finally I was able to get up to the mediocre level of hockey that I could play, which is the style of game that I played. But so I could kind of, and again, I'm not an NHL player, but I could kind of understand what he was going through, right? You're
Right.
going to be timid. You're going to be a little nervous and a little gun shy. But then as you get going and as you get more confident and you're starting to feel like you're starting to feel more comfortable in your game and yourself, then you start to get back to where you were before. And I knew it was going to take him about 20 or 30 games, but he's coming along now, and it's at the right time. The second half of the season when they're really going to need his style of play down the stretch.
Right.
Yeah, and the whole team, like you said, is really not quitting, despite how
Yep.
tired they are. Whatever happens, they keep going. And on your point about Dobesh with steady goaltending, finally,
Hmm.
he also does that. But I think people need to understand that Caden Primo's play down in the AHL is
Hmm.
going to allow Dobesh to just stay up there. They
Yep.
don't need to go and make a trade. They don't need to make any more moves. Everybody is playing well in their role. Like Primo just won again today. He's 7-0
Hmm.
in Laval
Yep.
this season.
Yep.
And Laval's now first in their division. So they continue playing well like that. Everyone's playing in their role. That makes life easier for for Hughes, and he can focus on making one of those smaller trades, or
Yep.
who knows, maybe a blockbuster where he can bring in Sidney Crosby, Mikko Rantanen, and Nathan McKinnon all in one shot.
All in one shot. No, no, no. He's going to do what Brian Wild suggested. He's going to go get Crosby. Oh, for God's sake.
Well, it'd be nice if they did. I mean, we can give them Michael Ryder a second round pick and a
Yeah.
lack.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go. That'll
No, but
work. I
it'd be nice if they could. I mean, it does make sense that people would be kicking tires on Crosby, but
as
I
an
don't know. I can't see him
aside,
anywhere else.
as an aside, guys, this whole Crosby got to be traded. Oh,
He's not
people got to
going.
stop with that shit. Just stop. He's not going to be traded. Period. Full stop. Oh, he could change his mind. He's
Mm,
not. He is going to retire
Yeah.
with
He
Malkin and
he is that
Letang.
team. He is that
Yes.
team.
Yes. If he didn't want to be in Pittsburgh anymore, he never would have signed that 2-year contract extension last year.
that's
He
right.
has a full no movement clause. He's not asking out. They're not asking him to leave because for all the way up to Penguins ownership, they know that Sid is still going to put butts in seats even if the team is playing crap.
Yeah.
Okay? Because Sid is still an elite player,
Not
you
to
know.
mention, it means something to him to have played his
Yes.
entire career with one team.
Believe me, you know, living in Mario's basement or guest house for a year,
Yeah,
that rubbed off because he learned, yeah, Mario was that franchise, you know, and now Sid is the franchise. And he was there through most what's been mostly good. He's not going to bail on him now that things are going sideways. And this whole pie in the sky. I mean, look, I get it. People make rumors and there's speculation. And listen, it's part of my job that I cover it and give my opinion about it. That's what I've been doing for a living for almost 20 years. Fine. But there comes a point where stuff just devolves into fantasy where you're just like, oh, please stop wasting time. If you're going to do a trade rumor, right, or if you're going to fantasize or daydream about players that Ken Hughes should go after, make it somebody that you've got at least a reasonably realistic chance of acquiring. And they say he grew up as a Canadian fan. I don't care. He's not
He had
coming
the
to Montreal.
pajamas. He had
Yeah,
the
yeah.
pajamas.
Oh, yeah.
And the sheets.
He's Habs pajamas. Yes, he's coming to Montreal, baby. Woo! Yeah. No, it's just please stop, guys. I mean, especially Brian Wild. What are you doing? Come on, go. And Jack Todd, why are you repeating that stuff? Come on, come
Well,
on.
it feels good.
Yeah.
Can't you be happy with what we have, what we're building here? Come on, come on. Anyway, eh. That's kind of like there's I kind of call them two types of cynical Habs fans.
Okay.
Okay? And they are. They no matter how well things are going right now or whatever, they always find something wrong. Or they think that management's doing a crappy job, or that St. Louis should not be coaching, and blah this and blah that, and it's only just luck of this and pause that. And I think they kind of fall into two categories. It's something I've observed. I'm just going to deal with this very quickly because I just wanted to get this out. I can't talk to other people except fellow Habs fans. Yeah. Um, there's one group that I kind of understand where they're coming from because for the past 30 years, we've been waiting for each new wave of prospects to be the one that was going to come in and they were going to become stars and they were going to lift the Canadiens back to, the championship glory that we've all been waiting for. And I can get that. Yeah, the draft record over the last 30 years before, until recently, it was not very good. If not for Carey Price and PK Subban, Max Pacioretty and Ryan McDonough and Andre Markov back in the Réjean Houle years, yeah, it would have been, a who's who of who cares, you know. So I can kind of get why some people are kind of gun shy, right? Or being cynical in that regard because they've had their expectations raised too many times only to see them dashed. And then there's the other ones who have this irrational hatred or dislike of Kent Hughes. They're like, no, his success is all built on, Bergevin, what he brought into the team. It was Bergevin who brought in Suzuki, Bergevin who drafted Caulfield and Caden Gooley. Hughes, all he's got. I have one guy, honest to God, he said on my site there a few months ago that all Ken Hughes has done is drafted, and I quote, a brochette of B prospects. I kid you not. I will repeat that. A brochette of B prospects.
Kudos for
And
the vocabulary.
yeah, oh yes, it is very, yeah. Um, and I'm sitting there and I'm going, are you seeing what the rest of us are seeing? I mean, look, we're fans of the Habs and we want them to do well. And yes, we can be guilty of elevating our prospects over others or what have you, or thinking our guys are so much better. And I get that. But really, really, you're saying, that Lane Hudson is a B prospect? Really? And this guy was saying this back in the first month of the season, which is of course of Hudson's, first season. Like, really, Lane Hudson is a B prospect. Demidov, have you seen the videos of this kid in the KHL? Ah, that's a KHL. They'll
Yeah,
destroy him over here. And I'm like, really?
like
You're the
Mitchkov.
guy. This was the guy who was pissed off. This is one of these people who was pissed off that the Canadians drafted Reinbacher over Michkov. Wait a minute. So Michkov can come from the KHL to the NHL and not have any problems, but Demidov's going to get destroyed when he gets over here. You see what I
Yeah,
mean? It's
eh,
this irrational, and this guy, they even go so far as to compare him to Réjean Houle when Réjean
of
Houle was
course.
general manager. Yeah, and I'm like, how is that even comparable? Reggie Houle, bless his heart, Reggie tried. He really tried, but he was in over his head, and he lost more trades than he won. And the draft record speaks for itself. Okay,
Yep.
it just so anyway. I just want to
Yeah.
get that. It's like I can't understand
I'm
these
glad
folks.
you were able to get that out, and we got less than a minute left, so I'm
Oh,
just
I'm
going to say to
sorry. Blah
everybody,
blah blah.
uh, thanks for coming on, Lyle. We love having you. You're always welcome back. And to everybody who's listening, remember if you're talking about it, so are we.